Boxing truth here. Terence Crawford versus Jeff Horn is in the works, according to Bob Arum. That's what I like to hear. That's what I like to hear in terms of when the fight could happen. As Bob Arum is stating, it could be Terence Crawford's next fight, actually. Now, I've been a little hard on Terence Crawford since he's vacated his belts at 140 pounds because I wasn't sure the direction of where his career was going to go. If he wasn't going to fight a legitimate contender or a top name or a champion in the welterweight division, I'd rather Crawford stay at 140 and fight the most dangerous contender available there. But if he's going to fight Jeff Horn next, then I have no problem at all whatsoever for Crawford vacating his belts, not fighting Sergey Lipnitz. Then it's totally understandable why he gave up those belts for a much bigger opportunity and a much tougher fight against Jeff Horn. But that all remains to be seen. He still needs to sign the contract. Jeff Horn has to get through his voluntary defense against Gary Corrigan. Jeff Horn is going to make easy work of Gary Corrigan. He's not much of a threat. Rated contender, but limited guy. He doesn't have the speed, the skills, or the power to deal with Jeff Horn. Jeff Horn is going to make an example out of him. He's gonna give him a lesson. He's gonna whoop his ass whenever that fight takes place, whenever that fight gets announced. Just a stay busy fight for Jeff Horn since the Pacquiao fight rematch fell through. And Terence Crawford, if he actually moves up and fights Jeff Horn in his first fight, that could be a big statement for Terence Crawford. An opportunity to, shut my mouth and stop the criticism of that. The very well warranted criticism he's getting is that he's overhyped. He's overrated as a motherfucker. Already being given pound for pound #1 by some outlets. And it's just, it doesn't feel earned. It feels like all of it's being given to Crawford. Looking at his resume, looking at who he's fought, and considering Julius Ndongo is still his best win in his whole career. It's just not enough. But since he's getting all this praise, since all these fanboys are dick riding him, saying he's #1 pound for pound, then I expect this type of move. I expect this type of power move to actually showcase himself as a true legitimate elite fighter, since he shouldn't have to take any tune-ups to get ready for any of the top fighters in the welterweight division. I mean, he's #1 pound for pound, right? So he should be good enough to go in there into the Lion's Den and take on the #1 welterweight. That is a statement right there in itself. That is a behavior of a supposed elite fighter that doesn't need tune-ups in order to fight the big dogs moving up in weight. He's willing to go in there and fight the best welterweight in the world, at least on paper, in his first fight in this division. That will be impressive, and it will be more impressive if he actually wins the fight. If he was to beat Jeff Horn in his first fight in the welterweight division, actually do it in emphatic fashion, a very clear-cut win, or even a knockout, then all the criticism from me will stop. I will give Terence Crawford his deserved props. I would say he's top 5 pound for pound, top 3 even, if he was to move up in his first fight in the division at welterweight and beat Jeff Horn, who is considered the #1 guy in the division. Remember, Jeff Horn is the #1 welterweight. He's the guy that has a win over a Hall of Famer. He's the guy that has a win over a pound for pound level fighter. He is the guy that beat the best welterweight in the world, and that's why he's the #1 welterweight. You can't take that away from him. What Hall of Famers has Thurman beat? What Hall of Famers has Errol Spence beat? None. The most important win is what Jeff Horn has on his resume, and he's the #1 welterweight. But it all remains to be seen. That's what Bob Arum is talking. That's his plan, at least, for Jeff Horn to get through his voluntary defense later this year and set up a fight between him and Crawford around February or March, April time. Where will the fight take place? I don't know. Maybe Jeff Horn will want the fight to take place in Australia. Who's the A side in that matchup? Is Mr. 50K pay-per-view buys an A side? I don't think so. Jeff Horn has the hardware. He has the strap. He also has the win over Manny Pacquiao. So you have to say Jeff Horn is the A side in that fight. It all depends on what Bob Arum could do elsewhere in other markets, in Las Vegas perhaps, or another venue in the United States. It will depend on the deal to entice Jeff Horn to come to the United States in order to give Crawford a better chance by fighting in the United States against Jeff Horn. But Terence Crawford could get exposed by Jeff Horn if he was to fight in his first fight in the welterweight division against him. Crawford's going to be very surprised with Jeff Horn's skill set. He's going to be very surprised with his speed. He's going to be very surprised with his footwork. He's going to be very surprised with his punching power. And he's going to be very, very surprised with his physical strength. He's going to be fighting a very strong welterweight, very big welterweight, a skilled welterweight, and who has the experience and has a better resume than Terence Crawford. Crawford will be in a fight that's real. It won't be no 20-1 dog. He'll be in there with a much bigger guy, a guy that looks a lot better when you fight him compared to when you watch him on TV. There's a lot of things Jeff Horn could do. He's a lot of things that he's good at, and he could really offset and really be a problem for Terence Crawford in many ways. I can't wait till the fight if it happens. One of the fights I'm looking forward to the most in terms of potential matchups that can take place within the next year. Very possible matchups that can take place. But Bob Arum, I feel, will be making a mistake putting Crawford in there in his first fight in the division against Jeff Horn. He might need a couple of warm-up fights, maybe a fight against a top contender at 47, and then maybe, roll the dice with him. But hey, he's pound for pound #1, right? So he should be able to take that risk. He should be good enough, since he's already considered elite among a lot of you guys. But let's see if Bob Arum keeps to his word, looking to set that fight up. It's not going to be hard to make. Terence Crawford will get a #1 rating within the WBO because he's a champion for the WBO at a lighter weight class. That's just how it works. Champions get first dibs over the top contenders, and he'll be given that privilege, that right, since he's a champion within the same organization at a lighter weight division. He'll get a very high ranking. Most likely will get the #1 ranking if Pacquiao doesn't decide what to do with his career very soon. But it's a fight to look forward to. It's a fight that will answer a lot of questions about both guys. People don't want to give Jeff Horn his props. They don't want to admit that he's a world-class fighter, the top welterweight in the division. And him whipping Terence Crawford's ass would hopefully change that opinion of many. I don't know if it will. Maybe people will still not give Jeff Horn props if Jeff Horn whoops Terence Crawford's ass, knocks him out, walks him down and beats him up. I mean, to me, Crawford would get exposed as an overrated hype job that he is if he was to take on Jeff Horn in his first fight in the welterweight division. I'm not even sure if I'm going to give Jeff Horn any props if he whoops Terence Crawford's ass like I expect him to. But hopefully, Jeff Horn will get his props and will finally get his due respect in due time, if and when this fight takes place, whenever it takes place. But I have doubts Bob Arum is going to take the risk and put Terence Crawford in with Jeff Horn in his very first fight at welterweight. I'm still expecting a welterweight showcase for Crawford in his first fight in the division. But I'll be surprised and I'll be thrilled if Crawford fights Jeff Horn next in his very next fight. And if he beats him, no more criticism from me. I would say Terence Crawford is one of the best fighters in the game. But if he doesn't, then I'll be proven right that he was just an overrated hype job all along. And that Jeff Horn shouldn't even get much praise or props for beating this hype job. But he will get his due respect, hopefully, by the masses that deny and are just in denial about this kid's talent and what he can do in the ring when it comes to the Hornet Jeff Horn. I hope this fight happens next. But y'all let me know what y'all think. This is Boxing Truth. I'm out.